Is it just me, or did anybody else watch episodes 10 and 11 and sit back like, how did we get here? Like, what? Aloha, welcome to my channel. If you are new here, welcome back. If we've been locked in, let's talk some Love is Blind. So this is how we're gonna break this up. We're gonna do episode 10 first, we're gonna do episode 11, and we're gonna do it by couple. So we're gonna start with Marissa and Ramses. They are so frustrating to me. Marissa is so sweet. She seems like just cotton candy, just very sweet, very bubbly, and he seems like he's just very frustrating to me because he's so rigid. That's something that I've noticed about a lot of the guys. Well, not a lot of the guys, just him and Tim, but Ramses is very rigid, set in his ways, and she just shuts down very easily because I feel like he's very overbearing and kind of intense in these conversations, and she's trying to stay true to herself while also, you know, making him happy. So she'll say something, he'll respond negatively, and she'll walk it back to make him happy. And so at the beginning of their conversation, she said she had a vitamin D deficiency, she didn't feel good. She's commuting from Baltimore to DC. I did that commute for 2 years. It was hell. It was hell. So I literally understand where she's coming from, and she's just sharing this with him. Like, I may not want to be intimate. And she seems like very touched out. And it was a difficult thing to explain to people, but he just did not respond to it well. He's like, oh, I need intimacy. And I'm like, calm down. Like, she doesn't feel good. So again, I do feel like they will make it down the altar, but he's just so rigid and seems very intense. Like, he doesn't listen to her, and that's very frustrating for me for Marissa. He makes her over-explain herself in a way that is overbearing, and she just seems exhausted by it. Like, you can see her shut down, and I am exhausted watching it, so I can definitely understand how it's probably exhausting to experience it. And for her sake, I really do hope I really hope he learns to hear her and understand that it's not just his way or the highway, because he does a good job of like saying the words and going through the motions of making it seem like he's being empathetic and listening, but in practice, in action, that's not what he's doing, you know? And it just makes me feel a type of way about him. I don't, like I said, I think they are gonna make it down the aisle, but they definitely have to work on some things. All right, Alex and Tim was the biggest how did we get here? Because from the start of the episode, I really liked his parents. I mean, they said they've been married for 40 years, and I was like, 40 years where? Black don't crack, they look good. Like, I loved his parents. His mom was like very to the point, very welcoming, very warm, but also to the point. His dad was like really quiet. I think they complimented each other well. They were really nice to Alexandra. Like, I really liked his parents. They seemed all about it. His mom was about the pods. She was about the experience. So I'm thinking, okay, this is gonna be great. This is gonna be wonderful. We're not gonna have any issues with Alexandra and Tim. Wrong. Maybe it's just me. I've been with my husband for 13 years. We've been married for 8 years. I know myself, when I get really frustrated about something, I need my space. I just need time to think and to clear my mind. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. So the fact that Tim makes it such a big deal that Alex wants her space, or maybe she sometimes makes it a big deal that he wants and needs his space, like, just leave each other alone. Like, I think probably the biggest piece of marriage advice that I hear people repeat often that I think is so wrongheaded is never go to sleep mad at each other. I don't think that's appropriate advice. I think that, you know, you can say I love you because you do love that person. Just because you're mad at them, it doesn't negate that you love them. You can share I love you, but hey, I need my space, and there's nothing wrong with that. And I would much rather, I think it's so important to take a beat and take that space instead of saying in the moment where tempers are flaring, you're talking over each other, you're not listening to each other, and then you say something that you can't take back in the heat of anger. You can't unring a bell. Some things are so damaging that you can't come back from it, but the best way to avoid those things is to not put yourself in the situation to say them at all, and just you do that by taking a step back and giving each other time to feel through things. And like, Tim just seems so rigid. He's just like Ramses. It's his way or the highway. And I don't think Alexandra is like that at all. Like, their conversation seemed, what he was frustrated about seemed so dumb to me. Like, yes, I understand his parents drove for 10 hours. He wanted her to likely stay up and hang out with them. And I think that's fair, but I don't think there's anything wrong with her wanting to take a nap and then come back to it. And if you wanted something, just say it. Nothing irritates me more than people who think think you're gonna read their mind and being passive aggressive via text and assuming that she knows what you want. If you want something, Tim, say it, but you cannot be mad if you don't communicate something with her. She assumes one thing because you're not communicating with her, and then you get mad at her for not knowing what you want. Like, what is wrong with people? I can't. Like, how do you go from just 2 days ago, you met her parents, she met your parents, y'all are great, you have a day where communication is not so good, and then you don't ever want to see her again? Like, honestly, it's sad because I do think that they worked really well together, but good for Alexandra, because I would prefer it happen now than down the line when they have kids and he takes such an extreme stance. So literally, I don't think it should have gone this far. And I honestly think the reason why he was so upset is because he expected her to grovel. He expected her to beg, and she's not gonna sit there and beg for you to stay. Like, I think she did that in Cabo. You know, the first time that they had their situation, she was like, I don't want you to leave. I want you to stay. Like, I want to talk through things. She came over, she gave him a hug. Like, she was really trying in Cabo. And I won't say in Cabo she groveled, but I do think she like responded in a way that he appreciated, making him feel needed, making him feel wanted. Whereas she's just like, if you have made up your mind, there's nothing I can say, there's nothing I can do, and I'm gonna respect your decision. And it seemed like he was more frustrated by that than anything, talking about, oh, I don't ever want to see you again, I've made up my mind. Tim, go. Like, I really hated that for Alexandra. I hated it for him, honestly, because I do think too that he will if he has any level of self-awareness, I think he will look back on it and be like, I overreacted, because there was a lot of overreacting going on this episode, the next episode, like a lot of overreacting going on. And I think it's also really easy to judge these people because we're watching them live it out. Like, I'm sure that there are some arguments between Snowbay and I that if I look back on it in hindsight, it was like, yeah, you were overreacting a little bit, Sasha. Or you were overreacting a little bit, Snowbay. But yeah, I think it's really sad that their relationship ended, because I didn't think that it was something that should have been, it shouldn't have ended their relationship, but at the same time, it's better it happened now than down the line when you are more invested, you know, when you are married, when you have children. It's so much harder to, you know, get divorced. It's so much harder to, now you're co-parenting. Better it happened now than when they get to that stage. All right, Ashley and Tyler, I just have a feeling they're gonna get married. And I have a feeling they're gonna get married because she took the while to step back and process everything. And I hate when people hit you with the, I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed. Because coming from somebody, when you care about someone or you love someone and they tell you they're disappointed in you, it's like a dagger to the heart. It's one of the worst. It's like one of the worst feelings. And so she gave him this opportunity, right? Like, to tell the truth, and he still omitted details. Well, let me rephrase this. If what his child's mother or his children's mother, because people found her Facebook page and she was saying some stuff on Instagram or social media, if what she's saying is true, Tyler still omitted information. And I'm a believer that lying by omission is still lying. And so she gave him the opportunity to come clear with her. So if he's not telling her everything, I will really hate that for Ashley, because she is just so sweet. Like, she is so sweet. Like, he explained the sperm donor situation, and I really hope that's what it is, but people are saying he owes child support. So I don't know. I don't know. Tyler, you gotta, we'll find out in time. We'll find out in time. All right, Garrett and Taylor. Again, this episode from start to finish, I was like, how did we get here? I think I'm just gonna name this episode, How Did We Get Here? That's what they should have named it, because literally they start at the beginning. They're so sweet. What is there to say about them? I still think they're endgame. I still think they're gonna get married. I just love them together. I love that he's being honest about, you know, his thoughts and feelings about the move. When he said his mom is still struggling with it, I'm like, girl, what is you struggling with? Like, they're getting married. Either you're on board or not. Like, and it doesn't matter whether you're on board or not, because he's a grown man and she's a grown woman, and they're making the decision to get married. And if you don't like it, well, that's okay. That's fair. But what are you struggling with? And with their little whole snafu about his, a situationship or his previous girlfriend, whatever that girl was, to him, texting him, I think Taylor absolutely overreacted. There's a lot of overreaction going on in this episode. You know what I think it is? I think these people are realizing, oh, wait a minute, we are literally getting married in 2 weeks, a week, and shit's starting to get real and it's starting to settle in. So they're starting to take things more seriously. And if it was something that happened at the beginning of their relationship or marriage wasn't in sight, I think that Taylor wouldn't have responded so strongly, but at the same time, I really like how they handled their conflict with one another. She was very open, she was very frustrated, but she didn't go up into the party and like with just an attitude or negative energy. She was like, we'll deal with this later. And I really liked it. I thought he said, oh, I just liked the comment. Like Garrett said, oh, I didn't respond to her. I just liked it. And then when they got into the party and they were talking to, I think it was Ashley and Tyler when they were talking to them. And he revealed that he had, told the girl, I have a fiance. We cannot communicate, blah, 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 blah. I thought that was an appropriate response. But then Taylor got mad. Like, oh, before you said you just liked the post. Now you told me you're texting her. I've been cheated on in the past. Now there are a whole bunch of red flags. I'm like, girl, what? Red flags where? He told you he texted this girl, y'all are together and he can't communicate with you. Where is the red flag? And I honestly think she is projecting being cheated on in the past. I think she's absolutely projecting that onto the situation because I thought her response was disproportionate. She's like, now I don't even know if I can go to San Diego to see my family. Girl, y'all are getting on that plane. Y'all are getting on that plane because y'all are getting married, period. Y'all are gonna live a long, beautiful life together and have some beautiful ass kids. Ain't no, period. Like, I was like, girl, what are you talking about? Red flags? I don't know if you're getting on the plane. Goodbye. They're getting on that plane. Ugh. Anyways, Steven and Monica, they're not a couple. She did come to the party, which we'll talk about in a second, but she did say they had a conversation. I hope she didn't give him his money back or her money back because she was fronting the bills when he was living with her. But she did say she didn't want that to be the last conversation they had. Things ended, if you watch the last episode, he was sending freaky texts and cheating and in a sleep study. That was a terrible lie. Men need to lie better. But no, nobody needs to be lying to their fiance. But anyway, she did say she talked to him and they ended things on a good note. For a second, I was scared because I was like, did you rekindle things with him? Immediately, no. She said that they're not, she was like, oh God, no, they're not getting back together, but they did have a conversation. And so good for Monica. All right, last but certainly not least, before we get to the party, let's talk about Nick and Hannah. Please put us out of our misery. That's what I just felt like watching episode 10. She does not like this man. The episode started, it was fun. I was like, yay, they're doing something fun together. I love this. But we can't get 5 minutes into an episode without this girl belittling this man, debasing him, disrespecting him, badgering him. Hannah does not like Nick. And it seems like she's trying to talk herself into this relationship with him. I think he genuinely likes her. I think he genuinely loves her. She doesn't like herself. She is very insecure and she continues to I think she wants to break up with him. When I was watching episode 10, I was like, I think she wants to leave him and she doesn't know how. She doesn't know how. So you know how when people want to break up with you, sometimes they will do things to force you to end the relationship so they don't end up looking like the bad guy? Sometimes I think that's what Hannah is doing, and I struggle with whether that's it or whether she's just insecure and wants more from Nick because, again, she's realizing, I'm gonna marry this man in 2 weeks. He's gonna possibly be the father of my children one day. We need to get some things, we need to get grounded. We need to get grounded and make sure we're on the same page together. Every time I watch him interact, I'm like, maybe her love language is critical judgment because she wants him to be like a different person. I don't think she likes him. I think she likes the idea of being in a relationship and being married, but she doesn't like him as a person, if that makes sense. Because she's so critical of him. Everything gives her the ick. She's just mean. And then on top of that, I wonder, you know how some people, she's sarcastic and mean in a way that I actually don't like because she says things and if you call it out, she'll be like, oh, you can't take a joke or you're too sensitive. But what she's saying is fucking mean. Like she's just a mean person. And so I don't like them together. I thought last episode, like the last few episodes watching them, I thought that they would figure it out. But coming to episode 10, if I was Nick, I would have left her after she told me. I wrote it down because it was so shocking to me. When Nick brought up the fact that he was like, I don't think you view me as an equal. You don't treat me like an equal. You know what this girl said to him? She said to him, you'll get treated like an equal when you start contributing like an equal. Yeah, I would have left. Nick, you gotta go. Nick, you gotta go. And I hate to play the whole, oh, if a man said that, it would be totally different. Or if a woman said that, it would be totally different. But can you picture a man getting on a show like this and a woman saying, I don't feel like you treat me or view me as an equal. And he said to her, you'll get treated like an equal when you start contributing like an equal. Nah, he wouldn't have been able to get away with that. So Hannah should not be able to get away with it either. He is a grown man. He has never fronted about who he was. And even if he fronted about who he was in the pods, now you're with him in real life and you see what he is like. When Snowbay and I went to premarital counseling, my premarital counselor said something to me that has stuck with me to this day. And it is advice I would give anybody in a relationship or thinking about marrying somebody. If you cannot accept them the way they are today, so if you had to live with this person as they are today, they never made any changes, and this is the person you would have in your life for the rest of your life, have children with, go through major life events, if you cannot accept them as they are today, do not get married to them. I think Hannah really needs to think about that because she cannot accept Nick as he is today, so she does not need to be with him, whereas he can accept her. I don't think he likes the way she talks to him. I don't think he likes the way she treats him. She is constantly mean to him, but I do think that his feelings about her are genuine, that he can put up with it and he will tolerate it to be with her. Okay, so let's get to the party. It is clear they brought back only the people who had other matches in the pods to create mess because that whole party was mess. So first and foremost, where did Nick's black scent come from? Like when Katie popped up on the scene, out of nowhere, Nick's black scent comes out. And I'm like, you weren't talking like this before. Like he would slip in and out of it in the pods, but this is the first time I definitely noticed the code switch. I was like, okay, Nick, that is aggressive, but she was, oh my God, that whole situation was crazy. Like, why was Bodan, he rolled up in this spot, was flirting with Marissa in front of Ramses? I was like, Jesus Lord. Hannah is over here telling Ashley about the terrible sex that her and Nick have. I said, I did not want to know that. Like, it was crazy. Then you got Katie flirting with Nick. You have Hannah getting mad about it, talking about, oh, Katie is one of my best friends. You knew Katie for 7 minutes in the pod. What are you talking about? She's one of your best friends. That is always so weird to me. People be throwing around that word friend and best friend around too loosely or too casually. At best, y'all are associates. At best, y'all are acquaintances. At best, y'all were people on a reality show together who kind of jived and, who meshed well. Because Katie was the one in Hannah's ear telling Hannah to leave Nick. And now Katie hops up in the spot and now she's flirting with Nick. I was gagged. I said, Katie, girl, you are over here creating mess. But it was so funny because Katie was like, now remember, Katie dated one of my husband's really good friends. So Katie was like, in the real world, you are the type of guy I would date. Like, yup, very much athlete to a T. And so she's not lying. Like, I can honestly see why Katie saw him in person and was like, okay, let me get a little flirty on. I understand that. However, Hannah, again, here comes her insecurity jumping out the gate. Because why does she get home with Nick and start that fight? And I think Nick was definitely feeling himself. He really liked the fact that Hannah was jealous over him. Like, you could tell he really liked it. And he was still talking in his John B. at black scent. I'm not going to call him Nick no more. That's John B. I was gagged. But anyways, he's like, well, what does your... And I think what he said was valid. Hannah wasn't mad at Nick. Hannah was mad at Katie. Now, does Nick owe her more than Katie owes her? Absolutely, because Nick is her fiance and Nick should not have been flirting with Katie. Let's be honest, he was flirting. However, if you had a problem with it, why are you still referring to Katie as one of your best friends? Hannah, that's not your friend. Ain't that your friend? No, that's not your friend. It was like crazy. And Nick finally bossed up though. Like, that was the first time I saw him. Like, he was puffing out his chest like, yeah. I was gagged, but their fight was dumb. Like, it was a dumb fight to me. And all I saw through that was Hannah's own insecurity and projection that obviously down the line, I knew she was going to use it against Nick. And that's exactly what she did. I knew it. So that was episode 10. Let's slide on over to episode 11, which was mostly benign, but also what the F again, how did we get here? Because there were some what the F, how did we get here moments, and I'm sitting here looking at my screen like, okay, so we'll jump right into it. Again, we're going through the couples because that is the easiest way for me to remember the mess that happened in these episodes. So Taylor and Garrett, like I said, I knew Taylor and Garrett were finna get on that plane and go to San Diego. Taylor was not about to mess this up over her overreaction, talking about I spend a lot of the night crying. Taylor, please, like, Taylor, please. I wonder if she just had a really bad day and was taking it out on Garrett. And she did, like I said before, she did admit she has been cheated on. And I when you are cheated on, like, it can impact, and it does obviously impact the rest of, well, I won't say it does. It can impact how you respond and show up in other relationships, and they're about to get married. She needs to be able to trust him. I don't think he violated her trust. I do think that he could have been more honest and just told her what he said, but I knew that they were gonna get on that plane. They met her family. I loved it. They did not want to be on camera, and I can respect that. That's a decision that they made. It seems like they're vibing, they're doing well, and Garrett had a glow up. From episode 1 to where we see Garrett now, I'm like, Garrett, you look good. So, you know, it's like, you know, when you just get in a relationship, I feel like some people have a glow down, and the glow down is not necessarily anything bad. You just get comfortable in a relationship, whereas some people have a glow up, and I think that's like Garrett now. Like, Garrett, you look good. Good for you, Garrett. Like, Taylor definitely upgraded his style. You know, he looks good. Keep the whole situation you got going on here. I laughed at their date when he was like at the Arch House, or is it Archek House? Whatever. I've been there before, and it's really cool. But anyways, I love during their date, he was like, thank God I've been delivered from dating, because he made dating seem like it's the ghetto, and I'm obviously married, but from what everybody says, like, dating seems terrible. So if you're in these streets trying to date or trying to date, I hope you get delivered from it soon with like a really good partner. And by the way, I'm 110% with Taylor. Condiments go in the fridge. Mustard goes in the fridge. Why are you leaving mustard on the counter? That is gross. Like, no. Taylor, when y'all start living together, when y'all get your own house and your situation, keep all them condiments in the fridge. Garrett, no. Put the mustard in the fridge. I don't even like mustard, but mustard goes in the fridge. Okay, so let's talk about Ashley and Tyler, because listen, they had their cute little date at the go-kart track, and I just know they're gonna get married. And they kind of sealed it, basically jumping their asses out of that plane. I was shook it. Like, again, I just love that. I really enjoy them together. I think after Taylor and Garrett, Ashley and Tyler, even with this whole sperm donor, I have kids, maybe not kids situation, I still think they're endgame. I still think they're gonna get married. I really like them together. I think they have a really good dynamic. They gel well with one another. And the fact that he jumped out of the plane with her too, love that. Their date was so cute, and I think they're gonna get married. I love that for them. I love that for them. She was like, we'll decide, you know, how we'll incorporate the kids into our lives later. So I think she still believes that it is a sperm donor situation and not a, this is my baby mama situation, but we'll see. I want him to clear this up at the reunion, because I'm not going off of what people say on social media, whether it's his child's or his baby mama's mom or the child's mother, what they're saying on social media. People lie for clout, and I will wait to see what he says during the reunion. So I'm gonna hold off, but yeah, they're gonna get married, and I love that. Ashley, you deserve the world. You deserve the world, girl. Okay, so moving on. Alexandra and Tim are done. They both did show up at the party. They did not seem like they interacted at all, and I'm really glad that she did not give him any level of reaction, because I think Tim is very rigid and he needs a special type of woman, and whoever he is looking for, I hope that he finds success in that relationship, but he has to communicate better. I don't think Alexandra did anything wrong based on what we saw, and I think he really overreacted, and I think Alexandra handled herself really well. So Godspeed to them. I just think that it's really messed up. I think it's so disrespectful that he would throw it away so easily, and she understood it was so important for him to be honest with her father. So you bring this man into this situation, wrote him this really nice letter, you know, pulled him in, said you loved him, did all of this stuff, but his daughter was so easy to discard. And it makes me think like, he is a type of all or nothing type of person, a very black and white thinking. And that's not somebody that I could be in a relationship with. And I think it's very exhausting to be in a relationship with somebody like that. I just think it's so disrespectful and sad that he would drag her family into this when it was so easy for him to discard her over a simple misunderstanding as a result of his lack of communication. So Alexandra, girl, if you're watching this, I wish you the best. Tim, you got some work to do, but you deserve happiness too. And I think they both will find happiness. Moving on to Marissa and Ramses, we start off the episode one way and then we end with the what the F. Like, I'm watching the episode and I'm seeing them fill out their marriage license online, and I'm like, I didn't even know you can even fill out a marriage license online. I had to go to the courthouse, you know. I had to drive all the way down there and wait in line, and the clerk was not very helpful. So yeah, I didn't know you could do that online. So that's pretty cool. But then we get to the end of the episode, and once again, Love is Blind, the producers do not show us the situation that happened or what exactly happened to make them be in whatever weird situation that they were in. Like Ramses is talking about, I don't know, I only want to do this once. And maybe he just has nerves, you know. I think this is like 2 days before they're gonna get married. So, you know, pre-wedding jitters. I didn't have any. If I'm being completely honest, I actually didn't have any pre-wedding jitters, but I think it's because when Snowbay and I got married, we had already been together for maybe close to 5 years, a little over 5 years. So we were like, we were in it. I knew that this is the person I want to be with, but now that I'm thinking about other people, you know, some people, they get married. I mean, obviously these people, they're getting married within like weeks of meeting each other. So maybe those jitters are obviously going to hit you a lot harder, but they gave us nothing. Like they gave us no context. So I was watching the end of the episode like, huh? What the hell is happening? I think they're gonna be fine. I think they're gonna end up married and they'll be good. Marissa is so patient. She's so understanding. Like I said, this girl's cotton candy. I'm gonna stop calling her Marissa and I'm gonna start calling her cotton candy because she's just so sweet, so light, so just good energy to be around. And then Hannah and Nick. At this point, I am so sick of them. Like by the time I got to this episode, I said it in the first episode, actually. If you go back to my first video on this, I said I am sick of seeing Hannah on my screen. They need to end it. You know how, like I said, somebody wants to break up with the other person, but they don't want to do it. So they just drag that person along and like just treat them like trash in hopes that the person will get sick of being treated like trash and then they'll just dump them. That's what this is giving me. Like Hannah is just not sure about this relationship. And this girl is one of those people that finds a problem for every solution. Energy on just draining. I'm tired of seeing them on my screen. I'm thinking that we're gonna have a great episode. No, of course not, because we can never have a good Hannah and Nick episode. Everything this man does, it gives her the ick. So she meets her friends, like her friends meet Nick, and then Hannah just immediately jumps into pointing out all of his flaws, and you can tell her friends are deeply uncomfortable. I'm uncomfortable. Nick is uncomfortable, but Hannah just sits there and continues to debase and abuse him, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, like, you know what they need to do? They actually need to have an episode where before they get married, they all do sessions of premarital counseling, because I'm sure a premarital counselor would have saw these two and been like, y'all don't need to be together. End it. Put yourselves out of your misery. Well, Hannah, put you out of your misery, girl, because John B seemed very sure. Hannah didn't seem sure about the situation. And you know, like Hannah's friends, they seemed really uncomfortable, but they seemed more than ready to jump into her dogpiling shit. And you know who I'm really standing? Hannah's mom. Hannah's mom is not for Hannah's bullshit. Like Hannah's mom was like, I can't tell you what to do. Like when they were on the couch about to go to the dress fitting, or I think it was before the dress fitting, Hannah's mom was like, you know, I can't tell you what to do. You're gonna have to make that decision for yourself. And you need to stop kind of letting people get in your ear. And I really like that Hannah's mom said that to Hannah, because Hannah's mom was like, I'm not about to let you use my words to make a decision that you need to make for yourself, because Hannah is also one of those people. She strikes me as one of those people. You give her advice, it doesn't work, and then she throws the situation back on you, and you never hear the end of it. So I wouldn't give, Hannah's like that type of friend or it's a person I don't give advice to. Like they're the type of person I will just listen to you vent, but I'm never gonna give you advice, because I will never hear the end of it if it doesn't go well, you know, or it doesn't go according to the way you want. Nah, I'm not Hannah. I just receive. Like Hannah's mom knows her obviously very well, and Hannah's mom is like, I'm gonna sit here and receive. I ain't saying shit. And I'm with Hannah's mom on that, because there are some people I hold them at arm's length. I do not give them advice. I will let you vent forever, but as far as giving advice, not doing it. Not doing it. And you know what I also think it is about Hannah? I do think she is, I don't even want to say she is mature for her age, because she is doing things that adults do, like taking out the trash, walking the dog, knowing how to cook. Like you're just doing what grown people do. She gives herself too much credit for that. And she gives herself too much credit for that because she is with Nick, and Nick, you know, still lives at home. His parents pay some of his bills. So in comparison to Nick, I think it's very easy for her to like put herself on a pedestal. And he kind of alluded to that later in the episode. But then with other people, she she, you know, she is just a person living life. She is just adulting. So it doesn't look as glamorous, or it's not something that's like, we're not going to clap for you for. That's basic lifing. And so what I think Hannah, like, I will see her and she'll have these moments of maturity and insight. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. And then she'll get in front of other people though, and all of that maturity, that facade of maturity just evaporates into like immaturity. You know, maybe it's just me. Like, maybe it's just me, but that's what I see about Hannah. She is one of those people that presents completely differently when she gets in front of other people. Like, she is, it's almost as if she is performing for other people because of her own insecurities. And you know how when somebody clocks your tea first and they'll like make fun of themselves first and the people around them so nobody else makes fun of them? That's what Hannah does. It's a defense mechanism. She's giving insecure, and her defense mechanism is sarcasm. Like when she was talking to her mom, it just felt like she was trying to talk herself into marrying Nick. And I'm like, girl, end this, please. Just put us out of our misery. Put Nick out of his misery. Put the viewers out of our misery. Please end this, because you clearly don't want to be with this man. So anyways, let's move on to the dress fitting, because this part of the episode really touched me. We see all of the moms together. Ashley's mom is beautiful. Ashley's entire family is beautiful. Ashley, girl, can your family get a show? I would love to see a spin-off of Ashley's family in a show, because Ashley is just like, she is everything. I think honestly, like, you know how at the end of every season there are fan favorites and people who everybody is rooting for? I think the fan favorite couple is going to be Taylor and Garrett, but the fan favorite person from the show is easily hands down Ashley. Like, I just, her mom is so beautiful. Her mom is so beautiful. Oh my goodness. Her and her dad is handsome. Her mom's beautiful. They created Ashley, who is also beautiful. I loved it. I really did love the dress fitting scene. And honestly, it made me emotional because my wedding, I think I'll just do a separate episode about that, or maybe I won't do a separate YouTube video about that. I don't know, but I did not have that dress fitting experience. My sisters and my mom went with me, and one of my bridesmaids went with me. Did she come with me? I can't remember, but I do distinctly remember my mom and my sisters being there, and it was not... Anyways, let's move on. It was really beautiful to see all the girls and their moms. All of the girls, they look like their moms in different fonts. Like, it was just so beautiful. And I did enjoy seeing Marissa's mom too, because while I did not care for her in the episode she was in, you know, the Meet the Parents episode, I thought she was very rude and disrespectful to both Ramses and Marissa. Like, why would you call your daughter a bitch on TV? Like, I thought that was, I did not like that. But she was very toned down in this episode, and you could tell she was kind of getting emotional, even though she wanted to be as hard as nails. You know that I'm not a regular mom. I'm a cool mom. I'm a tough mom. But I could see she was getting emotional. And so I really liked this. It was very touching, and I'm glad that we were able to like get a glimpse of this. All of their dresses were beautiful. I thought Taylor's dress, all of the girls, their dresses suited them very well. I loved Taylor's dress. I loved how simple it was, like very elegant and simple. Ashley's dress was beautiful. Marissa's dress was beautiful. It just suited them very well. I didn't really care for Nick with the boys, their tux fitting. None of them brought their dads. All of them brought close friends. And you know, I'm not a man. I don't know what a tux fitting is supposed to be like for a man. I don't know if you go with your family or your friends, but I thought it was like a little weird that they came with friends, but maybe getting fitted for your tux is not as like sentimental for men as women getting their wedding dresses. So, you know, maybe that is what it is. My husband, my husband did go with some of his friends. Yeah, but that's because my father-in-law, like, they live in a different state where we got married. So it would have been like a lot for them it would have been a lot for my father-in-law to travel down, do the tux fitting, and then go back up. So yeah, so now that I'm saying that, now that I'm thinking about my own situation, yeah, never mind. Oh, Hannah and Nick were supposed to go to the dress fitting and the tux fitting separately. They didn't end up going because Hannah finally put Nick out of his misery. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus. But of course, she could not break up with him in a respectful way. She had to debase him. And like, listen, I I completely get sitting down and taking notes so you remember what you want to say and you don't get off track. Like sometimes when Snowbay and I, when we have had like big serious conversations, I know me, I can tend to get like a little emotional sometimes or get off track. And so I will write things down and will take notes, but it's just to keep my mind like on the conversation so I'm not veering off. It's not me sitting there making a list of everything he's doing wrong or to piss me off like Hannah was doing. And I don't want to be too hard on her because yes, I think that there are points of improvement for Nick, but I also saw him trying. I don't know what more Hannah wanted from him. I think that the time period was too short. Maybe if they were together for 2 or 3 years and there was enough time for him to prove himself to her and change in the way she wanted. But like I said earlier, if you cannot accept your partner as he is today, as he or she is today, and marry them and be with them for the rest of your life and have children with them, you don't need to be with them. So I do think that Hannah was good. I think it was good that Hannah was very honest that, hey, you are not the person that I need you to be. But at the same time, I also feel like she was just so hard on him and blaming things on him that she needed to take accountability for. For example, her saying, oh, I feel like I can't be fun around you. I'm such a fun person, but I can't be fun around you. And it's like, girl, you are the one who is deciding you can't be fun around him. He wanted to ride a duck. It gave you the ick. Y'all were doing, I think they were rock climbing, whatever it was that whatever activity, zip line, indoor zip lining, something, whatever they were doing at the beginning of the episode, that was fun. And then you turn around and make it into like this thing. Like she was like, I feel like I can't be fun around you. I feel like you don't get to see the fun side of me. Hannah, that's you. Because you don't want to have fun, because she's the type of person that always has a problem for every solution. It always has to be drama. And I'm just like, girl, stop. And I feel like Nick, I can honestly see Nick being like, don't embarrass me, because that's all she ever did was embarrass him and treat him like shit, like talking about her sex life and how Nick doesn't do this in the bedroom. I'm like, girl, that's none of our business. I don't want to know that. But anyway, so I hope that Hannah finds happiness. I hope Nick finds happiness. I do think that they could have been happy together, but Hannah did not want them to be happy together, because I feel like Hannah talked herself from the get-go. Hannah talked herself into that situation, into that relationship, at some point realized that's not what she wants, or maybe her own insecurity got the best of her because she didn't feel like she was good enough for Nick, and she's not typically what he would date and go for. And then when Katie came, like at the party, when Katie came in and they were flirting, I think that really flared her insecurity. And then she has her friends in her ears. Like, I just honestly think she let so many things influence how she felt about him, instead of looking at him as an individual, looking at their relationship and deciding, could it work? And then giving him a chance. You know, when you bring up something to someone, and I had to check myself about this in my marriage, when you bring up something to someone, you have to give them an opportunity to show themselves working through this thing, you know, working through this action, trying to improve for you, while also understanding they are an individual. And I think sometimes we receive people's behavior as concerted efforts and attempts to like piss us off or frustrate us, when really it's just this person being who they are and we are reacting to it. So as much as we want that person to change, sometimes we have to change our responses and process, am I making a big deal about it? And I don't think Hannah's maturity level was there yet. So they are no longer together. I think it's pretty sad, because I do think they could have worked well together. But I'm also really happy that Hannah put Nick out of his misery, and they weren't going to suffer through this together in the hopes of a maybe. And like I said, it is a lot easier to break off an engagement than it is to divorce someone. So I think they'll find happiness, and I hope Hannah finds happiness down the line with somebody else. Nick too. Like, what if John B and Katie started dating? That could be something. But anyways, drop down in the comments. Let me know what you thought. Let me know if you thought I was completely off base or there was something you agreed about. Do not forget to like and subscribe. And until next time, peace out.